Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 88 of Run to the Hills podcast, sponsored by Chia Charge. Chia Charge have been fueling adventures with real food made with real ingredients since 2012. Go and check them out, especially their new peanut butter and jam bars. Yet to test. Sent a little message to Tim saying, going to talk about them on the podcast. Yet to test. He hasn't replied. But I'm sure that if I sent a box, I would eat them within a day. Go and check them out at www.cheercharge.co.uk. Hi, everybody. Have you missed us? Clearly not. We've just looked at the stats.
Looked at the stats, yeah. Makes no difference.
I did think people would have known that we weren't going to Twitter. When they downloaded that one, they wouldn't have gone. Because if you download it, then presumably they might not. Does that mean they've listened to it, or it just like automatically downloads?
Well, that's a good question, actually. Mine automatically downloads. I think it's just as long as it's a download. I don't think you physically have to listen to it. But
people don't even know. So they still might have had that wave of disappointment when they realised. We still managed to talk quite a bit.
We could have done. I thought on reflection, when I listened back to it, we could have at least done upcoming races or something like that, because we could have preempted a bit of...
I think, to be honest, Gary, let's be honest, as we always like to be with our listeners, we were in a little bit of a rush because we've done like 4 interviews in 1 week.
Oh, goodness, yeah, I forgot.
We've done a podcast of that week, and I think by the time we got around to doing that, we both had lost the will to be able to. So it happens. People understand that. That's real life. Don't worry, everybody. We're not going away anytime soon unless we're fired. There's always that in the pipeline.
Shouldn't laugh about stuff like that.
We shouldn't laugh. How you doing? What you doing? Oh, he's been whining. He's tired. So just prepare yourself, everybody.
I'm super tired. A big Saturday and Sunday over the lakes. I did a Lake 100 recce, which is good.
Do your family go, hi, Dad, like, what you doing?
I'm super, I can't, you
get shoulder. If I went both days of the weekend, Bryn would be like...
Yeah. Well, I do, this my little stuff that I do when I'm filming, I do think it's work, Eddie. It's not all fun, but it takes me to lovely places. But I did a Lake 100 recce from Braithwaite to the Brennan Cathra Centre. Then Robbo and I did a big run, Sunday, my goodness me. So we went up to Capels and then Causey Pike and looped all the way around to Buttermead and went up Robinson. And
of course, it was bank holiday, wasn't it? I was like, yes. How? This is incredible. Okay, yes, sorry.
And we got like about 7,000 feet in that 5.5 hours out, it was such an awesome day. Really good. It was quite funny, actually, Neil, like the classic, we got stopped by some tourists who were a little bit confused with their location, and Neil had his phone upside down and nearly got them even more lost. Luckily, we zoomed out and got Durham water at the right side, because we were sending them down to Newland Valley, not to Portinscale. It was quite funny. But yeah, loads of miles.
I love a tourist question. I get it in the winter all the time, and I'm so tempted to go, oh, no. You're totally wrong. You need to turn right back. It's 40k down the next day.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, when people do ask you that, it's like, oh, yeah, where's so-and-so at? And you just think, oh, wow, they've got a journey to get back. So yeah, 2 big days. Oh, that was good. And then last week I got some heavy flexing with my silverware behind me. Sedgefield. We got our cross country. They have the start fitness presentation for the cross country
in the shop.
Yeah, in the shop. I think it's they sponsor the whole cross country series. So
did you try and pick up a few freebies? Were you like, oh, I do a podcast?
No.
Basket.
If only that. We didn't get anything actually, apart from the Moonraker
trophy. Massive trophies. Jeez, you've become.
I know. So that's awesome. Sedgefield have been chipping away for ages, and second place doesn't get a trophy, as we found out a few years ago when we went up thinking we'd get a fuss made of us.
How come you've got the trophy? Did you have to rip it out of other people's hands and be like, I want it?
Well, Sedgefield doesn't have like some kind. It was only Justin and I went up there. And Sedgefield doesn't have like a place, a hub yet. They're building the track, so maybe there'll be something there formally where there'll be a trophy cabinet. But at the moment, it doesn't. And I thought, well, let's get it on the podcast. And then I got my individual performance of the year, which I feel a bit cheeky taking it, because anyone who knows the Bob Graham round, it's not an individual day out. At least, there was Neil, both of us there doing it, and then all the people who supported us along the way. So, although yes, unfortunately, Neil is not a member of Sedgefield Harriers, so I took it home. But yeah, big thanks to everybody else who helped out, and also everyone with the Harriers League. I think you pay about £5 for a seasons of running, and even Sedgefield pick up the tab, and then everybody's volunteering who does it. And the winter in the northeast isn't the best. Lots of mud, wind, and rain. So all those people who make it possible for us to go out and run. Thanks very much for that. And I did, so, all my YouTubing I do when I film stuff. It's
for your work.
My work, yeah. Well, I filmed they asked me to go along to the Sedgefield Harriers relays and finish the start and finish area. And it was you.
Film the start and finish area, is that what you mean?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said finish the finish area.
Did I? Film it. But so basically when... the change of, just in case there's any kind of controversy or people question their times, and there's a few athletes who wanted to confirm their times afterwards, so my footage was used, and I have to say that's probably the most useful my GoPro's ever been in anything that I've ever done. Did you have to
stand there, or did you fix it to a fixed point?
I stood there with a tripod. I took loads of photographs actually, so hopefully I captured somebody being athletic. But it was really annoying that when people finished, they just stood in front of the camera, so I couldn't.
My God, did they not realise what you were doing?
Yeah, it's
quite angry, and they were like, "This don't invite that really angry cameraman back again."
But yeah, it was great. Actually, used it.
This could be a new venture for you, Gary.
They do it across country. It's quite funny. I see a day after the day of the cross country, there's always someone saying, "Oh yeah, my son Toby finished ahead of the Morpeth athlete," and then 20 seconds later, there's a photograph saying, "No, he didn't." Basically, it's all on camera.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I think, like I say, 2 big weeks. I think last week must have been about 17,000 feet of elevation, well over 20 hours of exercise. I can't complain.
How's the body feeling?
Exhausted. Generally exhausted. I might normally for me, a workout will be Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the classic. But I'm finding because of the weekends are so big, I'm having to push that workout to see maybe a
weekend warrior now, Gary.
Yeah, like a Wednesday.
And then you're just useless during the week. Come across many middle-aged men like you.
I was shattered last night, just sitting watching the TV. I was just like the nodding dog. My head was going. But I won't do the workout today. I might do something on the bike and then do my session, which is I think it's like a 3 times 12 minutes. So they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
We went on our little family holiday break to the greater town of London, which was a bit random. I know loads of people wouldn't choose to go to London for a week with, most people would go to beautiful places. Well, that's not saying London's not a beautiful place, but it was so different from where we live. So we wanted the kids to have a bit of town, to have a bit of Anglophonism, and to go on buses and trains, because I think it's quite important that they might want to go and live in England when they're older. They probably will, and that they know a little bit about the English, like geography and London and the tube and how it works. And that all took them about 5 minutes to then be like, oh, we're just getting the Circle Line and then the Central Line.
Yeah.
But we went hard. I mean, we had some lovely family time. And then we did, if you name the tourist things to do in London, top 20, I reckon we did them. We did Imperial War Museum, Tower of London, London Aquarium. We did a West End show. We did London Zoo.
What did you see? What show did you see?
Saw Matilda.
Classic.
I'll say 4 out of 5 of the Suttons really enjoyed it. I think you can tell the one that sat there going, I'm going to get another beer. And one particular Sutton really enjoyed it. We did a ton. Legoland. We did everything. Windsor, Changing Guard at Buckingham Palace. The kids were over sensorized, plus all the walking and the traveling to get everywhere. Guess how much? So we started this tourist campaign probably Sunday, and we flew home on the Saturday. So Sunday to Friday, guess how far we walked? Because
you've got to be like 100 miles. You could be easy to do that a day.
Close, 130k we walked, whatever that is. 80 miles, probably a bit more. We did between 25,000 and 30,000 steps a day.
Excellent.
The poor kids. They've been in ski boots all winter, and their calves and their Achilles, they were like, oh my God. And we do stuff like, we went to London Zoo, but we walked there. And by the time we got there, we'd walked 10k. I was like, oh, poor Evie. Yeah. She's now going to do like 4 hours around the zoo and her legs. So we fed them a lot of calories, but it was good because we were eating such rubbish. Even the last day, the kids were like, no more, we don't want any tea. We've done every snackery, every eatery, because we just don't have that here. We don't have like the shops, the food shops.
Yeah.
We don't have the delivery. No, I don't think we did a delivery, but we don't have that like instant food. And when you go to a restaurant, it's just not the amount. I mean, it's just, okay. So a couple of things I thought during the week, I was like, I'm going to talk to Gary about the scariness, about the difference. I haven't been back to London for maybe like 3 years. Everything is like on a card scanner. Again, we don't have that.
Oh, I don't like this.
Oh my gosh, everything. So I sent you the picture, didn't I, of the charity boxes?
Yeah.
So it's all that was at the Imperial War Museum. And which is 4 hours is a long time when you can't read at the Imperial War Museum when you're 6 to 7 and you have to go around everything. Evie did very well at that one because there was a lot of reading exhibitions.
It's a heavy museum for a 7-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was loads of like vehicles and stuff. She liked that, but she'd had enough by the time we never even made all the floors. We had to go to the cafe, which I never minded. But everything was touch payment. Like there was no cash anywhere.
Yeah. Which
is not the same. I don't know about the rest of France, but where we are, that was quite like even the buskers, like in Covent Garden.
Oh, wow.
With their scanners. I was like, I'm not sure about that, but there wasn't any cash. And just all the people. Oh my God. So I went for...
We were busy.
We'll talk about running now. So before we went, I took another week off running and just biked. I actually felt quite good on my bike by the end of that week. I think I did about 10 hours and I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel like I'm push a bit. But then of course I didn't have any bike or any access to cross training in London. So I took a few rest days. I did my core and I was like, I'm just going to try and run and see what happens. And it was truly awful. Not helped by the fact I think we were walking on concrete all day, on our feet all day. And so I was trying to run and literally like some of the runs I was like hobbling. It was awful. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, and I stopped doing my Achilles exercises because then I just started eating takeaway. By the end of the week, I was like, anyway, we've turned the page again now. We've come back. I went to see my sports therapist lady on Sunday when we came back, and she gave me such a talking to. Eddie, she said, your right glute has turned. She didn't say it had turned to fat, but I interpreted it that it had turned to fat. It's lost all its muscle tone because you're not using it properly. And, this is disaster. You need to sort yourself out. You need to do your exercises. And I was like, okay. Anyway, I do feel now. So so I'm resetting again. I mean, this is endless, but I talked to my doctor friend last night. She's like, you've got to do your Achilles strengthening exercises. If anyone has an Achilles injury or has had one, they'll know the calf extensions off a step. You need to do this twice a day, every day. It's basically 120 variations of calf raises, this is the only way you're going to get this Achilles better is by loading it and keep loading it. So it's already feeling better after 2 days of doing that. It does feel better. I have back on my bike. I did a big hike yesterday and just took my poles, put my spine backpack on and just hiked uphill, which doesn't hurt it. And it doesn't hurt to run downhill. It's just running on the flat. And the foot's got really weak, I think, because the Achilles was so tight. It hasn't been able to move. So if I stand on like a wobble board, I literally am like, So again, working on that. And so running on the trail is terrible because I got no proprioception in that foot. So another thing I've got out by the kettle. I've got to take this seriously now and stop ignoring it and get it better. It's facing up to it, isn't it? That actually this is something that isn't going to heal by itself. Often with like a niggle, you're like, it will just, if you rest, it will get better, but actually it's not going to get better unless I actually do the work and the work on the rest of the body. And I had a bit of a whine at the physio lady going, where do you have the time to do all these like
tell me about it.
I do all this work and all this band work and this glute strength and like, it gives me anxiety. Anyway, I've set up all these stations around the house now. So I've got my wobble board by the kettle. I've got my steps at our like breakfast bar where I throw food at the kids so I can do it then. Yeah. I'm rolling my foot now as I'm talking to you. I've worked out in my day how I'm going to fit in all this bloody rehab. And hopefully it is getting better now. It's just taking a long time. Patience, no virtue of eddies, but also
it's so tricky fitting it all in.
I've done enough to help myself. I put my hands up and go, I've just been kind of like, why are you not getting better? And then it gets better. And then I'm like, okay, it's getting better. I'll go for a tour run with my mates. Oh, it's bad again. So I got to load it properly and stop ignoring it and actually address it. So I feel better for already having gone to, this is awful, to now, right, I've got a table printed off so I can tick off my calf raises every day. I've got to follow the plan and be as dedicated to the rehab as I am normally to my training. So there we are.
I ask about the summer challenge?
It's got a month and a bit. So I'm wearing my pack. That feels really quite good. I'm strong. My legs feel strong. We have to decide as a podcast, like, see how I haven't cancelled anything. Can I go and do it as like quite a long walk? You know,
you could, but could you do it?
Can I? Oh, it's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
How much running will I be? So I'm kind of like, I'm not going to make a decision for the next couple of weeks. I can't do anything differently with my training. I'm going to carry on doing hikes. I can do that. I've got mountains on my doorstep.
Yeah.
I can go uphill, which is amazing. Leg strength. I can send my heart rate high. So I'm I've got that bit of impact. I can work out on the bike. I'm going to do everything in my armory to keep working towards it because it's good for motivation. Because if it's not there,
well, fitness levels, you know, it might not be where you want to be, but you're definitely going to be fit enough to complete it. I don't know if there's any issues there.
I think the thing, as long as I don't want to be a risk to mount. I don't want to call out anybody because it has to be better, basically. I'm not going to go with it because I don't want to as well then wipe out a month afterwards.
True.
So I'm in a bit of denial.
Is there a window of where you can cancel it and get some kind of money back?
I haven't looked. Maybe I should do that.
Check that out.
And also because I have to go over by myself. It's not like I have somebody, a crew or someone that if it hurts, I can stop. When I go over, I have to do it basically because I've got a hotel booked at the end. So I've got to be, I'll see how I'm keeping it there as a sort of like every day, a little bit of a carrot to keep me working, to get me on the bike, and we'll just see. And if it doesn't happen, there's some bigger races out here I can do, or I can go over and do a couple of days on the Pennine Way by myself at a walking pace without the worry of cutoffs. So it would be good. I was talking to Bryn, I was like, it would be good to do it in that race because then you get the vibe of that, like how they set the points. You're going through the night. You really have to be, I think as soon as you're not in the race and you're doing it as a recce, well, I slightly more of a jolly, there's less pressure, isn't there? Oh, there's a nice cafe. You know, so I'm just going to see with like a little bit more focus on the Achilles loading, a bit more kindness to myself if I can kickstart this recovery, and we'll see in the next few weeks. Doesn't happen, that's life, isn't it?
It's so much work though. That's the only thing. I always say this thing, how much work do you have to do to keep you running? It's not you in particular, just generally people. There's all the other stuff.
There's so much stuff, and whenever we all get injured and we're like, oh, and then we get better and then we stop doing all this other stuff. But fingers crossed that it is slightly better already, and I just have to be a bit more mindful.
Fingers crossed.
It's crossed. Right. People that are proper running. Let's talk about you.
Proper running. I don't like when people say that.
I'm not. You know, it's horrible when you're injured, isn't it? Because you don't feel. You'll see people running. You're like, I can't. It'll never be me again. Anyway, Highland Fling we had a couple of weekends ago, but we were on our holidays. I was probably in the Tower of London or on a terrible Legoland ride.
You didn't take a picture of a donation box that I made in the Tower of London. You just sent me pictures of donation boxes.
I didn't know you made one in the Tower of London.
I've got pictures of donation boxes in the Tower of London.
Why did you not tell me this?
Well, just kind of keep quiet.
You've got the kids around the donation box. Is it a tap scanner one, or is it a...
No. It's quite an old one, actually. Just a cash, regular cash.
Right, we had the Highland Fling a few weekends ago. Jo Meek, who we interviewed just before the race, with such a good luck charm. She won in 8 hours 24, and Rowan Boswood won in 7 hours 15. We also wanted to give a special shout out. I'm sure anybody that did this, and anybody who's training for the West Highland Way as well, will have crossed John's Bridge, which is now in place. I know there's a picture of him on the bridge, and his daughter Holly ran the Highland Fling in his memory, and that must have been hugely emotional. But what an accomplishment as well, to take up running and commit to doing that, and then cross the bridge, which was made in your dad's memory. So well done, everybody, all the flingers, ding ding. We also had the Fellsmen. This was this weekend, wasn't it? Damien Hall and Ollie Johnson finished joint first in 11 hours 23, 60 minutes. Ooh. And then Fiona Pascal, a name you might recognise, not that far behind. What a run. I'm not going to say whose sister she is. She's her own runner in her own right, and she's a really decent runner by the looks of it. 12 hours 07. I know she's done quite a fast Bob Graham round too.
She has, yeah, super fast. Yeah, really good.
So that's really exciting to see her coming through in the ultra running world as well.
I wonder if Damien and Ollie hatched a plan, or it's just...
well, I know he'd put that they ran together for most of it, I think.
Then we went down south for the next one, the Thames Ring 250. Oh, this sounds just enormous. And there's going to be so much tarmac, surely, for this one. I'm not really familiar with the actual route, but yeah,
I saw a few signs for Thames Ring, you know, little marker waypoints, whatever. Yeah, sorry.
John Stocker took the win, 59 hours, 51 minutes and 32 seconds. And Ellen Cotton took the win for the ladies, 81 hours, 58 minutes and 30 seconds. But then also pinged up on our Run to the Hills page, which was awesome. A guy called Paul Mason, not just one, but two Thames Ring 250s. The first one he did in 83 hours, 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And the second one, 91 hours, 10 seconds.
That's amazing that he did the second one. Like...
there's something, was it Tom also just did the double long last? What is it with that? Can you imagine the DOMs after just 183 and then to go again? And really only 7 hours, over 200 and whatever miles. It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, if you'd like to come on the show, Paul, hit us up. We'd love to have a chat with you. Well done, everybody. This
week, we chat to Iceman and midnight paramedic Jon Shield, all about his journey into ultra running and his recent success in the Ice Ultra. Love hearing a chat about how somebody juggles shift work as well with training and life generally, and he trains hard. So here is our chat with Jon. Delighted this week to welcome Jon to the podcast. Jon, hi, where are you? How are you? And have you been for a run today?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. I'm at home in Oswestry at the moment. So, yeah, I've been working night shifts recently. So I'm just sort of getting over those and trying to get training back on track for upcoming events and so on. So yeah, it's been a.
What is it that you do that requires you to work all night?
I was going to say a day job, but that's
Do not ask.
Paramedic by background, retrained out of the military and did all my paramedic qualifications. Went hospital based with it, doing minor injury, minor illness, and now I'm sort of able to work from home, doing all the clinical assessors, roles, treble one, and all that side of stuff. So it's good being able to do it from home, because I was doing a hell of a lot of traveling, but that obviously limited running 2 hours traveling to and from, and then a 12-hour shift. It was a bit too much. So over the last I've cut it back, and like I say, I've managed to be able to do this role self-employed from home, which has been a bonus, because generally I'll do that over the weekends when the mountains are busy, so I can get out when it's a little bit more peace and quiet.
I love that planning. How do you find it coming off? Well, you've probably done night shifts for quite a long time now. How do you find coming off night shifts and then trying to train? Do you have to sort of adapt your training when you're working all night?
Basically sleep deprivation. It's just another extension from being in the military, really. Oh, we're doing a sleep deprivation exercises. It seems to be like that each week. So if I do it over the weekend, I might have 3 hours sleep after every shift, and then I'm up and out doing things, and then suffer for it during the night shift when I'm trying to keep my eyes open, asleep at the laptop, and then I wake up with like
that must be really hard if you're on the computer, you're not even like out and about.
Yeah, it's difficult. I had my eyes tested yesterday. They said they're fine, even though I was like straining my eyes at a computer for 12 hours there, and when you do fall asleep, you wake up and you've got the finger pressed on a button, and you
enter. That's me.
My notes are there, and there's just a load of J's pressed or whatever, and I'm there deleting for about 10 minutes afterwards.
Oh my god!
So do you hit the coffee, the chocolate? How do you keep yourself awake?
It's the bad thing is that through night shifts you eat more, definitely, because I'm awake pretty much all the day as well, and then very little sleep. Your hunger pangs really kick in. I eat, drink, and pretty much try and be good, but it doesn't always happen, particularly if you're doing quite high mileage. You're very hungry, but I try and be good. But the night
would you get say you finished a batch of night shift, would you get say 3 days off or something before you go on to a different shift? Or
they usually ask me to work. There's usually plenty of work, so it's been quite good that I generally can fit it to suit me at the moment. But that's why I've mainly done the weekends, because there's obviously a greater demand usually at a weekend, but then they'll ask, can you do this in the week, and can you do that? And generally I might help out as well, but it's certainly difficult when you try and plan everything else around it, because then if you're working the nights, you then try and plan what you need to do during the day, and so on. And if they ask you to do another night shift, it's like, then I'm going to be a zombie if I've got to do something that morning the next day. It's difficult, but that's what it is.
And what was your role in the military? You mentioned that.
I was in the parachute regiment, and I couldn't land jumping out of planes, so did myself some damage. Broken ankle, damaged knee, and a labral tear of my hip as well. So that sort of put me out of any exercise for about 8 years. So I've only been back running for 2 years now. I started running 2 years ago. So it was.
Did you have to have an operation on your hip, or?
I had. It was classed as like a hernia repair, something called a David Lloyd repair.
Not the gym.
Yeah, it wasn't that pleasant. It wasn't that enjoyable, but it was like some special like hernia repair on the hip, and the knee just had a general meniscus tidy up, clear out with some keyhole, and the ankle I've broken several times over through a couple of rugby injuries and that, so it was no big deal. It still works and doesn't really give me any hassle.
I love these ex-military people. It's fine. I mean, it's hanging off, but you tape it up and it's fine. It still works.
Last 2 years, I found a phenomenal physio. It's about an hour and a quarter away from me, Lillishore, where England Football Club used to be based. So a guy there called Jamal, and he's worked with all sorts of Olympians, and just going to him by far and away the best physio I've ever seen. And he just whether it's tight hip flexors, hip whatever. And he just, every time I go to him regularly, and he has just got me on track that I can do the mileage. And if I'm on the mountains, whatever, I tweaked my hamstring the other day, and it's a bit of a tear, but it's no big deal. I went to see him. I'm seeing him the next day anyway. He'll be all right. So sort of have to train around that one a little bit, and it gets me sorted, and it's good because you expect the niggles anyway. And
and I always say to people, like, when I take on like new coaching clients, I'm like, do you have a good physical therapist, somebody you see regularly? And 80% of people, it depends on their age. Most older people go, yes, I see one every having somebody, you do need that. People, I think runners look at it like Gary as a bit of a sign of weakness.
No, that's not true at all.
I know it's really expensive too, but having somebody that knows your body and that you trust and that you can keep going back and just maintain you, even if you've not got a niggle, but they'll find the niggle probably before you know you've got the niggle. They'll stick your fingers in your hip or your soleus or something, and you go, oh God, yeah, that's really tight. So, especially with a history like yours, maybe, John, you have got to keep that body oiled a little bit.
Yeah, he says it's unbelievable sort of what I'm doing, and that I have very little going on generally. So, I mean, probably worst thing is had a hamstring tendinopathy probably now for the last year, where I've just sort of got on with it and bits and bobs. But if I ease off on it, and me wanting to do a bit more speed training instead of just plodding, plod, it's like, well, I kind of need that hamstring now. So
yeah.
I put some, I tweaked my hamstring the other day because I thought, right, I'm going to get a bit more speed in the legs and put a few efforts in on the hills. And Llangollen's really close to me, and it's a beautiful running area. And it's all runnable hills. It's not like Snowdonia where you get some that are just straight up. They're steep, but they're runnable bits. And I was like, I'd got these Salomon Pulsar soft grounds, and it was quite a nice day, and the ground was quite, so it was probably at the end of their spectrum anyway. What a shoe it is! It's phenomenal. I'm gonna go give it some beans on some of these things. And I was doing some like long hill rep efforts, and my leg turnover between, I was just like, hell, I feel like Kipchoge here on the hills. And then towards the end, I feel this hamstring now.
It's crashing. I'm not Kipchoge after all.
Yeah, but the turnover of the legs was noticeable. They're a fast shoe. And
what's the grip like?
It's very, very good. It was better than I thought it would be, but just on some of the muddier sections, it just wasn't quite enough. I'm testing shoe actually to go off track, probably where we'll go later, but for the jungle coming up in 8 weeks time, I've got a race in the jungle, 5-stage multi-day, and the longest stage is about 70 odd kilometers, I think, and that's the last stage of the race. It's a very muddy course, lots of bogs, so everyone has said, it's the Innovate Mud Claw. And for me, the Mud Claw would be great on the muddy bits, but there are going to be long runnable sections as well.
Yeah, not so good on those, yeah.
No, and so I'm just toying with a few different shoes at the moment, and I'm up in Scotland next week helping out with Beyond the Ultimate doing their Highland Ultra one.
Are you helping out on that the most expensive ultra in the world? Is it that one?
No, it's not that one.
Oh,
this thing is.
I found someone that can give me inside info.
No, it's the 3-day Beyond the Ultimate Highland Ultra, and it's based over in Knoydart. So I won it when they did it in October time last year. It was COVID, so they've got one now. This April now is when it's gone to. So I'm doing all the course marking and helping out, and probably a little bit on the medic side there as well, and just general dog's body. But hey,
yeah, sounds awesome.
Really nice place, mark the course, and catch up with people there, and so it'll be brilliant. So yeah, I'm just planning to get away and test some of the shoes for the jungle out there, because.
Can you take is there like a weight limit? Can you take a couple of pairs of shoes with you to the jungle, or is it?
It's all carry, but that's an option I'm considering, is take 2 pairs of shoes. They're light enough to take one for the muddy stuff, and then flip on, and then last stage at 70 kilometers, and maybe hop into something that's an absolute flying machine, and the weight of the pack's going to be lighter. And I like my long stages. I like that sort of mindset of, right, you're going to run for 10 hours, 12 hours, let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. So I've got a few shoes I'm just testing out at the moment, and one of them was the Salomon soft ground Pulsars, which I say, amazing shoe. The others are the Slab Cross 2 that I've not worn yet, but
I'll be looking at photographs of your feet, see what you decide to use on the day.
Yeah, that's it. There's a few. So, and then what was the other one? I've just looked at the Salomon Mad Cross, which is what Salomon recommended to me. Actually, they've said the Mad Cross, and I sort of thought it was just a bit of one of their cheaper shoes. But actually, looking into it, it's quite an interesting shoe. So I've just ordered myself a pair of those as well, and we'll see how we go with that. But
we love buying shoes.
Gary always tells me, because I'm always on the lookout for the ultimate shoe that does everything. And he's always like, Eddie, you're never going to find the shoe that does everything, that's cushioned, good on mud, good on wet rock, good on dry stuff. It can run 100 miles and you can run 5 plastic. Just want the old shoe. That's all I want.
Kit fiend and buy lots and then bankrupt yourself, which is what I
Well, I'd like to rewind a bit. You mentioned that you won the Highlands Ultra, but I'd love to just know a bit more about your journey from, I suppose from what got you onto the start line of jumping out of airplanes to being injured for, my goodness me, what sounds like 8 years, I think you mentioned, and find yourself on the start line of the Ice Ultra.
I'd always been very sporty prior to that injury, and I think that playing rugby from a young age, did that for sort of county standard and so on, and then progressed different things. Hated running when I was young, like literally cross country. I'd go and hide in the woods at school and then just pop out at the end, sort of towards I've done it. But if it was like a rugby ball or a football, that was my thing. Did that, and then I just got into duathlons before going into the military, and did quite well at those at the age group, and qualified for Europeans and the Worlds. And then military sort of came around, and at that point I'd had a bike failure. It was Limerick for the Great Britain duathlon championship. Europeans, had a bike mechanical there, so I was a bit gutted about that. So that race ended very prematurely. And then I qualified for the Worlds for the age group, and but then that unfortunately didn't happen because the military wouldn't let me go. So I just beasted myself getting into the parachute regiment, and which was always a thing because that's the physically the fittest regiment, and that was just a bee in my bonnet that I wanted to do, and did it. Injured myself thoroughly doing it because I was doing stuff for like PhD nutrition at that point, and quite a lot of their advertising, marketing, promotional stuff, which was going into men's health and men's fitness at the time.
Okay.
And so I got quite a bit of unwanted attention through the training side of things. So I used to get absolutely hammered by the lads and the training staff, and got called Mr. Men's Health and all this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I would always end up doing a lot more, and the beastings that we'd have and stuff. So it was good fun and everything, but probably not the best for my health, but an experience all the same. And I hated flying, so jumping out of planes sounded like the logical,
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you choose to do that?
It's just one of those things. If you do what you don't want to do or don't like to do, you force yourself to like it. Like I've always
like my husband is an ex-para, and whenever we have been on really bumpy flights or something, and I'm fearing for my life, and he's like, we used to circle at 600 meters for 3 hours, this is nothing and all this, and he's not bothered about flight. But I cannot imagine doing that when I
couldn't wait to get off the planes because I hated all that stuff. So it was
you were pushing, you were like, come on, let's go.
Never ever, because we used to have to like jump training and so on, you'd sometimes get some people there that weren't from your regiment, that they were just on it as part of whatever they were from. And I just remember this one time someone wouldn't get out of the plane and we were up there and I was like, I'm going to push this guy out in a minute because it's really good. I'm here like newbie waiting to try and jump. And then it was
was that actually being in the plane worse than the bit when you had to jump out?
Yeah, I think once you're out of the plane it was good fun, and then all until the landing. And I think my first ever landing was the best landing I ever did, and then after that they always hurt and then injured myself, and then that was me. It was me out. And flying, I still fly. I still do flying, but again, I'm not bothered by it now really. So it's something, if you want to go and do things and go to places, you have to.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I imagine going to the jungle and ultra though, there's going to be some planes that I would look at on a runway thinking, I don't want to go on that plane to get to where you need to get.
Yeah, I know. I think we go into fly to Lima, and then there's another plane, I think, up to Cusco. And that is altitude, actually, the race. It starts at 11,000 feet of altitude. So, yeah, I think it'll be probably a rickety plane going to that part. And I think there's a bit of a coach journey after that for a good few hours. So I don't know whether it'll be that bad, but I do remember I went to Zimbabwe when I was young, and that was really sort of rickety planes. And,
I don't get on the ones now with the propellers on the front where the
my goodness me, that'd be dreadful.
No, I prefer to wait. I'm waiting for you.
I Google it. If I'm flying, I'll Google what the plane is. Try and find out what it is.
Russian roulette. Will I survive this one?
I think is it Everest? There's an altitude.
We had Lizzie Hawker on the show a few weeks ago, John, and she was talking. She loves going. She would live in Nepal, I think, wouldn't she? If she could all year round. I'm like, well, the big thing that puts me off is the airport and the flight into the in and out of the Himalayas. But I guess if you're going to go and climb big mountains, the flight's the least of your worries, really, isn't it?
If you're going to go and try and have a crack at Everest or around there,
if you can't do the flight, perhaps you shouldn't be there.
No.
So we got you. So do you have to leave the paras because of your injury? Is that so? Then where does your path go next?
Well, actually, it's a good question. Where did I go? I did my retraining as like an ambulance technician. So working on the roads, on the ambulances, basically alongside paramedic generally. And I did that while I was training up to do my paramedic diploma, and then I topped that up to the paramedic degree, and then I did a couple of minor injury, minor illness courses so I could stitch people up and look at x-rays and diagnose fractures and all that side of things. Came off the road, I was working on a car, and that's still the best job ever. I loved that because it was adrenaline, you get to everything first, and all the good stuff. But from being a bit of a like adrenaline junkie, kind of ragging a car around to and from probably the most horrific things you're likely to see, as morbid as that sounds, someone's got to do it, and I really enjoyed doing that. I always did this sort of self-employed through an agency or whatever, and progression for me was doing the minor injury, minor illness course, and then becoming hospital-based and working within the A&E environment and urgent care. Did all that, sort of going my own time and going working and doing sort of voluntary work and so on, and then just started doing it self-employed. And as I said, then now I've managed to push so I can fit more training in by doing the home-based stuff, which I'm very fortunate to do, but it's because I'm reliable and so on, and I get the work and keep getting the work, which is good while it lasts, and see how long it goes on for. But that sort of got me to there. And then last 2 years with COVID, I moved to Oswestry a few years ago, and with COVID I was still working over at Preston Hospital at the time, so I was traveling 86 miles each way, doing a 12-hour shift in between. And so I would occasionally, when I get home, start running at 2 a.m. and whatever, take the dogs out, go down the canals, scare people half to death if there was anyone there, or the unsavories that might be popped up around
Couple of stitches. Yeah, you fractured. Yeah. I go to hospital for that one.
Random country lanes and stuff at night, and then like my dogs would start barking and circle a few like people, which you've been down this country lane at this time of night. I'm running. You're probably looking at farm machinery to try to something, but
it's always if you're with the dogs and someone appears, if they've got a dog wherever they appear out of, I don't worry about them. It's when random people suddenly appear out of a path or a hedge, and you're like, "Where's your dog? Why are you here?
Why are you out here?
Yeah, why would you be here without a dog? Why would you choose to do this?" And then you're like, "Come on, dogs."
Moral of the story is have a dog and you become trustworthy.
All you criminals out there listening.
Dog?
Oh, we've got a dog. Oh, you're fine then. Off you go.
Dog, you're all right.
So you were able to run again. Like, how did you build running back into your life after all those injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I just always had this, and I always thought it was like a tightness in my hip. And I never thought it was something that was knackered from a joint point of view. Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Go on, bed. Come on, away, quiet. Never doing a podcast with John again.
We'll do it with your dogs.
Yeah.
You're saying about your hip.
Yeah. The hip, it felt like it was a tightness and a muscular thing. And so I felt that this tightness, but it was, even cycling was a problem. So I was very limited with what I felt I could do. And I thought, you know what, I just need to seeing someone, because I felt like when I was stretching it myself, it was kind of a relief. But yourself and an injury and a niggle, if it's deep, you can't get to it yourself properly. And I'd been to physios and just not got it. And then this physio that I was on about before, and it just started that I thought, you know what, I can run a bit now. And then, sort of within the week, I'd run a marathon, sort of, John's back in the game here, let's go and smash it, and just get focused. And me being a little bit OCD, I just started building the mileage up, and COVID hit, so couldn't race anyway. And I was just using it to go out long plots with the dogs, nothing spectacular, but just kept running and decent distances. And then obviously when we could race, I fell on my backside a couple of times, learning quite quickly that, the ultra game, you've got to be a bit more prepared than turning up to one of Mike Jones's Apex events after doing a 12-hour night shift and driving straight to it and thinking, yeah, you'll be all right doing a 2 multi-stage race across Snowdonia. And that was my first DNF in scorching heat and education to it, which was good, but it made me learn. And then it was the same. I had the Ultra Trail Snowdonia, and I had a heavy fall on that, and I was doing all right at the time. But again, never come across sort of the races like that, or just didn't understand them. And I think from that, it just clicked. And I'm probably not the fastest marathoner in the world. I've never run a marathon, but I know roughly what I could probably run a marathon in from gauging it. But I seem to get quicker, where people with good marathon times seem to slow down over the trail stuff. I seem to be able to keep going and hold a pace for a longer period of time. And probably because I've built myself in these multi-days, I seem to get faster and as I get into it. And that was the case on the Ice Ultra. I sort of knew after a couple of stages, stage 3 and stage 4, they just played into my hands, because I knew the longer stages I generally keep going. I knew that if it's 10 hours of running, it'd be 10 hours of running, and that'd be that. So,
and what was it about the Ice Ultra that drew you to it?
Chris King, he's the race director. He knew I'd done the Highland Ultra, and then he conned me and said, "John, I've got a space left on the Ice Ultra," and he knew I was doing the jungle. Anything, the desert had been cancelled because of COVID, and so I moved and did the jungle one instead. I was like, I'll jump in the jungle. I was like, it's a long time away, isn't it? And he goes, oh, well, we've got a space that's just come up on the Ice Ultra. And I was like, he knew I wouldn't say no. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about tell us about how the race is broken down, the sort of distances every day, and then maybe like the conditions you're running in as well.
Yeah, so it was 230 kilometers over 5 days. The last stage is pretty much a 15-kilometer. They call it a sprint stage because it's pretty much, it's just a celebratory. Let's run across to the end and stuff our face with burgers or whatever, and so on. So that was nice, stage 5. But the hard work, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Most of them were about a marathon distance. I think stage 1, stage 2, sort of 40-odd, 50 kilometers. Stage 3 was a shorter one, just about the marathon distance, but it was harder because of the conditions. First 2 days were more mountainous stages, days 1 and 2, and stage 3 was a short one. And then stage 4 was the longest stage, which was 65 kilometers. It worked out at, again, they lied to us. They said it was going to be 6. There was a 65, and then it was more like 67 when I'd done it, because I was
those extra K.
Go on, John, you've done well. You've been running all this time. And I was like, I came around this corner and onto this lake, and I could see the finish in the distance. I looked at my watch, and I was cursing for that whole time around that lake to the end of stage 4.
Oh my God. I bet you were.
Temperatures were anything, as they say, it can go down to -40. I think we had it down at -36 at its lowest, on one of the mountains. But it did cause a few people some issues. Someone got airlifted on the first stage quite early on.
Wow.
An experienced ultra runner, actually. Did well. He was up there in a lot of races, vastly experienced, and he got hypothermia and dehydration very early, and was airlifted from there. He was fine and everything afterwards. Chatted to him, messaged him after the event, but yeah, he was fine. But it just showed that the conditions there, to me, they're brutal. Don't get me wrong, but it's dry, it's cold, and you might get a bit of snow and a bit of wind on one of the first 2 mountain stages, but comparing it to Snowdonia at its worst, it's nothing. When it's cold on Snowdonia, wet, windy, and sort of
wind. It's the wind chill, isn't it, that kills you?
Whereas the Arctic, it was, if you had the right clothing and layers, that was great. The main issue for me in the Arctic was the fact that the water bottles that I'd have, although they were insulated soft flasks, they would freeze, and the water was freezing, particularly in the caps.
Wow.
So when you try and bite the cap to drink through, so on the first stage, I first went for my drink early doors, and the first checkpoint was only about 12 kilometers down the road. It was an icy road to start with, so no snowshoes, brilliant. If it had been like that for the whole time, I'd have been happy. So I zoomed off quite happy, and then I was like, a bit of a drink a few kilometers in. I was like,
oh my
drink out of it. Oh no, all this money on these damn insulated water bottles. And so my downside, which is something I learned during that ultra and something I'd take with me for the rest of it, was I was running quite dehydrated for the first 2 stages, because I was only drinking at the checkpoints, really. So I'd drink my bottles basically at the checkpoint and then crack on, and because I couldn't drink during that time. But then I learned that actually what I have to do is use hot water. They had hot water there, so I'd pretty much put near boiling water in the flasks, and then with the top slushing back the hot water, it would keep the caps from freezing quite the same. But then I'd have to drink every few minutes to keep the water in the cap from freezing. And then when I finished drinking, blow out the remaining water out of that flask.
And all this, John. If you'd just messaged me, I could have told you all the. Worst things worst, just down your pants. Water bottle.
So that might have affected my running style, though, my gait, and then knowing me, I'd have probably had an injury. So.
And then the photos, your hit would have been, Eddie told me to put it down my pants, and now I've got a dodgy race photo.
I love the problem solving, though.
It's a really good tip for anybody in any cold, even with an insulated water bottle, is that before you hot water in your flask, but not too hot because you can break the seams, which you were lucky that you didn't do, but you blow down it as soon as you put the hot water in it, and then you just have to keep drinking it to keep it moist. You can get like insulated covers, which you insulate the whole. I've got a rucksack with an insulated bottle, so you cover the bottle totally, so the nipple is not out in the cold. But it sounds like you managed to cope. What other bits of kit were sort of invaluable? And
so the shoes didn't really matter after that. I did loads of research on my shoes and ended up with La Sportiva Blizzards, which
were they good?
Blizzard, phenomenal shoe. And I'd had one pair of La Sportivas before that, and I didn't really get on with them, didn't really rate them. But this shoe, though, I looked at it for them, and they felt really lightweight. I mean, don't get me wrong, they weren't light. They was probably about 320 grams each boot, but not bad. But they felt really light and nimble on your feet. So the first 15 kilometers, which was the only time that I was out of snowshoes with them on, they were brilliant. And the little studs for the ice, they were great. And to be fair, probably I could have run other bits, but getting the snowshoes on and off was such a hassle. And with the bindings, when they'd freeze, that it was just, it was easier to keep them on.
Yeah.
I'm getting my dog biting me again. But yeah, that was the other thing I had before I went out there. 2 days before I flew, a couple of my dogs hate each other, so I always keep them separately, and they're not small dogs, German Shepherds. One of the other dogs had opened the door and let the one out, and the other, and then they went for each other.
Oh wow!
And so I got involved, and in splitting them up, my knee was the chew involved. I got some muscle injury and deep lacerations into my knee 2 days before the event. So I was antibiotics the whole time. The medics were like, "Your knee all right?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. It'll be all right."
What was it like running in the snowshoes? I'm really curious. It's not something I've ever done.
Oh, they were very light. The ones we used, I think everyone used them, these TSL snowshoes. They're very lightweight. They alter your gait slightly, but you don't really notice them that much. Once they're on, and they were okay. You didn't feel like they massively made a difference in getting from A to B. Particularly the ones we were using, they just gave you that little bit of extra traction to get through. But I would have preferred not to have worn them, but I guess
did you have to wear them?
No, you could have tried without, but it was it was just difficult. But you needed them, and they were okay. Getting them on and off was a bit of a faff because I'm size 11 anyway, and I had to size up to size 12 for the shoe, just with the extra socks, and you have to wear the inner soles to reflect the heat as well. I didn't need the inner soles because I had that winter shoe on, so it's well protected anyway. So I didn't use I carried the reflective inner soles, but didn't use them. But thick sock and everything. So I went to size 12, but size 12 was the limit for these snowshoes anyway. So you're there, and because it was a boot, really trying to get them on, I was thinking, am I going to snap these things and take them on and off? So I literally was like, if they survive me getting into them and then out of them every day, and trying to get them off at the end of the stage was horrendous because they just frozen in the buckles and everything. So as they're like, yes, can you get this off? Or you take it? But
were you running on like packed snow? Was it quite deep? Was it trailed, or were you breaking trail?
It was. They'd had a lot of snow dumps there, so they said it was the worst conditions they've ever run the race in terms of the amount of snow and powder. So it was really hard, slow going.
But were you making the trail for the rest of the competitors?
Yeah. Generally, like
You get a chance to really big yourself up now, John, to go, yeah.
I literally was a trailblazer for them.
But I was curious, how did the race pan out? Was it like, were you conscious you were in a race? Was it a small group of you who ebbed and flowed at the sharp end?
Yeah. So in terms of the tracks, there was the Sami, the local people who were amazing, and they run all the safety aspect of it and logistics with the snowmobiles and so on. And without them, you couldn't do the event. And it's brilliant that they use obviously local people to put these events on. And it's great because they're phenomenal and they know exactly what to do, where to go. So if there was like the emergency, you see these nutters on snowmobiles going 60 odd miles an hour. And they're brilliant guys. But in terms of do you think you're in a race? Yeah, the first couple of stages were very competitive. There was this lady who, Lenka, she's an actress, presenter, ski mountaineer. She's got her Slovakian, she's represented Slovakia with the mountain running and sponsored by Dynafit. And, she's an absolute professional monster on the track. And I just remember looking around and like at first bit of the road stage, 15 kilometers, turned around and I thought, it's going to be good lads, because there was some good athletes there. I remember seeing her there. I was like, bloody hell, she's moving for like, because I'd put quite a shift in to get up to the front comfortable, but I'd been moving and she was phenomenal. She literally, first two stages, I couldn't shake her on stage one. And I stopped to put my snowshoes on because I thought, well, should I do it at this point? And then as I was doing that, she was like, you putting your snowshoes? So she put her snowshoes on. She was a few minutes behind. And then, I just couldn't shake her when I put the snowshoes on. And I think that was more her domain because she lives in the mountains. And whereas I was like Bambi on ice, I just couldn't shake her off. I'd get around every corner and sprint my hardest, trying to little tactics. And I ended up waiting for her because I was like, you know what, it's just a minute behind. And it was that annoying gap. I hate being someone just behind me.
Yeah.
Right. With my knee at the time as well, it was quite sore. So I used it as a bit of a tactic to wait up and then control the pace, just waited for her.
Well, that's good. Yeah, good.
So, I led on. Unfortunately, then she took on a bit of the pace and I had to work a bit harder. but we rolled in across stage one together, which was quite nice because it's a long time on your own. But stage one running together. Stage two again was a mountainous one, and she just took off on again. I to this one mountain. Then there's this long slog, and usually I'm quite good on the mountain stuff, and it's the elevation. It was only about 3,500 feet for the day, so it's nothing really in elevation terms when you look at it compared to like a mountain run.
Yeah,
I do that for fun usually, like without much effort. Or recently I've been doing the UTS 50 route, 10.5, nearly 11,000 feet of elevation in one go, and this 3,500 feet is burying me. Seeing her take off, and I was just like, I kept going, kept moving, and it was a horrible cold day that day, and I thought, I'll just keep moving. I'm not drinking, not eating on this mountain going up, because take your gloves off, you're going to freeze. And I think that's where a lot of people came unstuck, was that you stop moving, you want to have a food and drink, whereas I just kept moving. And I lost a decent bit of time, but then she needed to stop at the top and sort herself out, I think. And I think she had about 10 minutes on me at the end of that stage that day. But after that, the mountains have gone. I thought it's going to be more runnable. And because I had the flat speed, day 3, I managed to put a good chunk of time in and take the lead back, and probably have about 21 minute gap, I think, after stage 3.
Brilliant.
And then stage 4 was the long stage, and I say it was still choppy underfoot. I think stage 3 was good. I built the gap, but then I think everyone was sort of mitigated with the gap, because it became this last lake, which I think when Damien Hall had done it in 2016 or something, Chris said that, he just skipped across that lake because it was just nice and flat, and there's us not able to even run across it because it's just that chopped up. And it was a walk for everyone across that lake. So time-wise, I couldn't build any more than probably what I'd built until that point. And it was 13 miles across that lake. So
I was imagining like 400 meters.
Yeah.
oh yeah. And this last lake was a half marathon on that day. So it really probably stopped putting more time in, which would have been nice. But one of those things, it's an event, isn't it? You take what the conditions are that year and you can never compare them. Stage 4 actually was more runnable than what I thought it would be, because the conditions seemed to be a bit better that day underfoot. And you're going through these like forests, and then which are quite lumpy, and then you get onto these long, vast open lakes where you just see for miles and miles and miles. So it's quite in the head. And I thought, right, I listen to my music on this long stage today. Tunes in, and hopefully 10 hours, and that'll be me done. Headphones in, yes, fully charged, 100%. Let's go. Oh, power low, flat. Start of the stage, I was like, damn, batteries in this conditions. I was like, I've bought wired headphones now for the jungle. But yeah, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have to speak to myself for this whole stage. But yeah, went off on a mission on that stage, and thankfully I put an hour into the person in second.
Did this lady finish second? We feel we shared.
Which was nice, because like stage 3 and stage 4, I put the time in, and say stage 4, I finished in 9 hours 50 minutes, I think, for the 67k, whatever it worked out at. Which I think she finished an hour behind me, and then after that, third place was about 2.5 hours behind, and so on. So it was a good shift. I didn't stop running that whole time, apart from the checkpoints, obviously, where you just take on the water. But so that was, it was a good old shift, but it felt good, and I like that. I like those long stages where it's just a grind to keep going, and I knew I was going to do that, and that was always the plan, and it worked well. So I felt comfortable with the last stage being a short one.
You had her.
Yeah, but it was nice because, like, say she had a water bottle that malfunctioned, and I left a water bottle for her, one of the checkpoints.
Stop it. With your phone number on it.
Would you ever do that, Eddie?
I leave my water bottle with my phone number on all the time, Gary.
It does.
No one's rung me yet. Ring me. Running good time.
Down. My phone number is.
Classic.
Would I ever leave a water bottle if I had a spare one? Yeah, I wouldn't sacrifice one of my own.
That's true.
Well, we were supposed to carry like a 1.5 litre mandatory, and I don't know what had happened to her other water bottles, but
well, my husband's always says you never share your food, never share your snacks and water on the hill.
Yeah,
if you can't carry your own kit, you're not coming with me. I would have swapped.
I definitely wouldn't be giving my food up. But the water in the back, I was rotating my water bottles with the hydration and stuff. Like tailwind in and one, so I didn't have to empty the packs in straight away. But because I'd used that when it was in the back, I left that, and then I had my 2 water bottles. But so it was all right.
After each stage, did you sleep? Where did you sleep? And
different. First night was a teepee on the snow on the ground, and that was good because it was just proper adventurous stuff out in a teepee on the snow, just on top of a reindeer mat. Then we were in sort of huts with no electricity or anything, just a heated stove for most of it. And then after stage 4, that was like a mountain centre just on the floor there in the mountain centre with everyone. And then that last stage was just that sprint, so it was nice. We ran in together, the first 3 of us. So it wasn't really an effort, that last stage. It was just a nice chat, basically, running it in with the guys, and then we got food and drink in the little party at the end, which was nice.
Was it quite a social atmosphere at the end of each stage, or was it business? You were doing all your admin and then going to sleep?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was probably always the one that was last awake. I'd like get in, chill, food, and I quite like the atmosphere of the events and making the most of it and chatting to the medics, the local people, race organisers. I like the environment. When I'm there, it's me switching off, whereas at home, constantly on the go. So going to something like that, it's quite nice. So I quite enjoy soaking up the atmosphere or having a look around and, you know, the scenery and things like that you can appreciate it, because once you finish that, you're never likely to be there again. Or
I think that's why you're drawn to the multi-stage events, so you can actually soak it up a bit more as opposed to just.
I would have never gone to Sweden and to the Arctic to, you know, to see it. But now, actually, I think, you know what, that would be a beautiful place in the summer when you've got no, when it's never dark there as well, when it's daylight the whole day and night. I mean, that must be magical there. And these lakes that I've run across are beautiful, where you can swim in them, and with beaches, it's, you know, you think it's mind blowing when you that. But yeah, I would have never gone there, and so the multi-days are brilliant just to be able to do that. And I think that it's definitely why I do them. And I'm probably not quick enough to do the single stages, unless they're quite a long stage, and then I'm a bit more competitive. But it's it's nice. I just like it because there's less pressure on in these multi-stages in a way. People, track runners, if I go to track sessions and they're like, what pace are we going to do? I go, I'll just follow you. I'm not this like 5-minute mile or whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm knackered, I'll drop back. If I'll try and stay with you. But so all these paces that people are really like into from track running, or 10Ks, 5Ks, marathons, and I like it because I'll go to the track and these guys are all keen as mustard, and it's their thing, isn't it? So they kick my back. And then like, well, it's going to improve me when I go and do these things because it's working that high range that I'm not usually working. So quite enjoy that. But then predominantly is, I've got to be able to run for 10 hours on a stage and then go and do some of the same the next day. So a lot of the strength and conditioning is more my thing, and the long runs and the getting up and down on the mountains and stuff.
So what does your normal training week look like, John?
So I've been building it back up recently, but I was hitting 100-mile weeks with over 10,000 feet of elevation most weeks in the lead up to the Alps. And plan was with this jungle as well. I mean, I did 80 miles last week and just over 10,000 feet of elevation, but I've been steadily building that back up from having like a rest week of 9 miles after the Arctic, which was a 130 odd mile week. Did 9 miles and then just been gradually building it back up each week, just, you're sort of 10%. So I was back up to 80 miles last week, and some good runnable hard stuff that I've been doing, as well as some treadmill stuff just to try and ease the load when I'm doing the balance of running up and down on the mountains and so on. I haven't been doing the track sessions just because of the impact factor. And
do you have a coach? Self-coached athlete or?
Coach, I was sports science background before going into the military, so I've got my own training background anyway, and done strength and conditioning qualifications. So I like all that stuff. It's my forte, or my passion is that training aspect, all the strength and conditioning and the running side of things. But yeah, it's generally going to be 100-mile weeks again, and I'm wanting to keep a lot more mountain efforts in, but more hill interval stuff now. Because of the races after the jungle. The jungle's quite up and down, so you do need some good leg and condition your IT bands, which mountain running does, the down slopes and so on. But so it will no doubt do me well in the jungle and the long days, just for the slog, just to keep out time on feet, which is why I've been doing the Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50 route, because I'm racing that 3 weeks after coming back from the jungle, which doesn't give me much time to come back, turn it around, let my feet recover, but also that high-end energy, which I'll need more for the 50 route. I did it at quite a decent pace the week. I did it back-to-back 2 weekends, so I say it's nearly 11,000 feet of elevation in 32 miles.
Pretty good.
And it's a good route. It's a good route, and it is quite runnable, a lot of it. I think I went around about 7.5 hours, I think, just over, 7 and a bit hours. and that was moving quite well. I was thinking, well, if I could do that in the race, and sort of looking at times from the following year, I'll be in the mix, be up around there, and I think there was one that last
you might
year.
make it on the results section of our show.
Yeah, it was Harry, the Hoka athlete.
Harry Jones, yeah.
Yeah, he won it last year. It was like 6.5 hours. I mean, of course, that's changed, but similar sort of elevation in time. I think he was, obviously, he's a flying machine. But I said, I'd be happy if I could get, it's a Mont Blanc, Ultra Trail Mont Blanc event now and everything. So it's competitive standard. So
yeah.
It's not ideal prep doing the jungle beforehand, but
you're either going to be flying or you're going to be broken. So you roll the dice, don't you?
I'll try and get out, and I know the route like the back of my hand now, so I know exactly where I can push on that UTS 50 route. I know exactly where water's short on the areas and where the technical parts are. And I think, I should be all right as long as I've got no injuries. I say my top end won't be there because it's going to be a week in the jungle of a long, slow duration aerobic zone. But then coming back, I'll probably have a week where I'm pretty chilled, not doing much. Then probably a week of just trying to fire everything up and get the legs turning and rely on the endurance.
Some strides.
Yeah, pretty much. And just
go down the track. One session down the track with your 10K buddies, you'll be fine. Get those hamstrings.
A few hill reps, and then I'll go in there.
Put the flat Salomon shoes on. Oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah. They will.
Hope for a dry day.
Yeah, and then after that, it's Dragon's Back, so that'll be. That's why I'm trying to keep the mountain stuff going in the meantime, which will be good. So
when it is Dragon's Back in September again this year.
So that's my main thing, and I need to get out doing some recceing of that because
especially day two. Day two is the one where you need the local knowledge.
Grab Russell Bentley and say,
yeah. I'll ping you his number.
I'm plateau because he runs with me. Well,
I saw you'd been running here the other weekend.
Yeah, we run together a lot, but he's training for some flat stuff at the moment and
being boring. Well, he's had bad COVID. He messaged me last night to say the vid had gotten bad.
Yeah, he's being a bit of a girl at the moment about it.
Well, because he was running in some sort of pajama bottoms yesterday. Just pull yourself together, disgusting. You can't even put that on Instagram. I'm going to have my tea. Scrolling through, that's not what I want to see.
Yeah, I messaged him and one of the other lads, and he goes, do you fancy doing, what was it the other day? Do you fancy doing the Snowdon Sky Race route? So then I'm just trying to flat at the moment, doing my speed and everything. I was like, bloody road runner.
Oh yeah, he loves the road. He's take his eye off the road fully.
Flexible hamstrings and
he's doing his Wrexham Marathon, the elite marathon, in a couple of weeks' time. So I'll let him off. But,
let him do that, and then you.
Best of luck, John. But before we let you go, we've got to do our quick five.
The best quick five I've ever created.
Well, yeah, Eddie, I feel a bit. I'm going to ask these, but they're all your questions.
Yeah, I enjoy watching you squirm, asking them to keep it embarrassing, Gary.
Okay, right. Yeah, just five quick questions. You can take as long or.
It's a cold theme on them, John.
Oh yes,
we've been talking about the ice ultras, sort of a theme. They're not just random. They're well thought out.
I feel a bit nervous.
Yeah, get nervous. Get warmed up because there's a good one at the end.
Yeah, can't wait for that one. Who would you mostly like to build a snowman with?
Oh, to build a snowman with. That's a good one. That's so random. Yeah, Ranulph Fiennes.
Oh, good one. Yeah, he'd be good at that too. He'd be like, this is the way we do it.
A race you would still like to race?
Definitely want to do Ultra Trail Mont Blanc. It's kind of bucket list one, isn't it? So
yeah.
But I think Nepal as well. I'm probably one of their mountain marathons as well, just because of that.
Ice cream or chocolate?
Ice creams recently.
Hot tub or ice bath?
Ice bath.
Oh.
Love my cryotherapy. I go to cryotherapy and stuff, and yeah.
I just given myself terrible ice burn icing my calf.
You know,
So I was like, take the pain. I quite like the pain. And then I took the ice pack off and I was like, oh, half my skin's come off.
The burn.
these really good covers actually that ice and they stay on your legs really well. Relaxo covers, and you literally just put them in your freezer and then you put on like stockings. And they're brilliant, but it's about 20 minutes. So usually I'd be like, just ice them for longer, but they're good cold for about 20 minutes. They're really good, actually.
Well, I'll be Googling that. And last but by no means least, do you know the opening verse for the smash hit Ice Ice Baby?
Opening verse? No. Everyone just knows Ice Ice Baby, don't they?
I know somebody who does. She can't wait.
Let's go.
Yo, VIP, let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Do, 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 do. Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice back with my brand new invention. Something grabs hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Anyway, kind of. Hey!
That's a career highlight, that is.
Yeah.
Surely everybody knows the whole song.
What times we live in,
Very good. I'm very impressed, Edwina.
If you were able to say that, I would have made my. Well, Gary was like, "He'll never know."
Like the whole thing, wouldn't it? Just taking your thunder. That
it would have. I'd have forgot about sex. So I was already.
The same note that you
I
had.
was feeling I'm a bit older than you, John, and that was more than my like. That was in my hood when I was about 12.
It was a big song.
It was a big song with the baggy jeans and the big hoodies and the chains. I mean, it's all coming back now. My oldest, he wears like these really baggy jeans and these like massive hoodies. I'm like, that's what we used to wear back in the 80s.
Is that like French fashion though, is it, Eddie?
I think it's French Alpine fashion. It's not, there's no fashion. It's just what Capital.
Alex, we're out in France at the moment as well.
Say again?
You're out in France as well at the moment.
I live out here, yeah.
That's amazing.
I can't believe you've not told him.
I know, but I managed to get in at the
I've
end.
been looking at French chateaus at the moment. I'm not lying. Yeah.
Well, you can snatch up a chateau, then the French don't want them.
Yeah, no. But you know what? Some real appeal there.
I think the upkeep of them, from what I've learned from Escape to the Chateau, the upkeep. Yeah, we don't live in a chateau. I live in a barn. It is a barn, literally. That's what I say to the kids. This is like living in a barn. John, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving up time.
Thanks for your time today.
Could have asked you loads more questions, but we will keep. We'll keep track of your progress on the podcast. Good luck with come and tell us all about the jungle UTS double. Let's fingers crossed.
Yeah, we barely touched on training, so we just ran out of time.
Gary, you had all those questions.
So much more.
Next time.
Another time. Thanks so much, John.
Guys, thank you.
And the doggies.
Take care, yeah. Bye. I enjoyed that chatting with John, and his dogs made a guest appearance too. It's always nice when our guests, unruly dogs, show up.
They always get really nervous, and they're like, "Oh no, the dogs!" And you and I going, just creating mischief in the background, encouraging bad dog behaviour.
Lisa took Rex to work. I'm like, it's fine, just leave him. But no, she was adamant she was going to take him. But yeah, he's fresh. You know, he might be still be up there, but he has recently been up in Scotland helping out at the Highland Ultra. And if memory is correct, he's prepping himself ready for the Jungle Ultras. He likes to tick all the different, the Ice Ultra, Jungle Ultra, Highland Ultra. But I think he'll do really well.
Little niche in the multi-days, hasn't he? I do love a multi-day too.
Watch his space. I think he'll do really well. And also check out his Instagram. He's very good over on Instagram.
Kong Summer Series, the Buttermere Selbeck. Buttermere Selbeck is a classic rough fell pace. It packed in over 4,000 feet of climbing in just over 9 miles. So not for the faint-hearted. To tell you what, I did a hike yesterday with a mate, and we did just under 10 miles and just under 4,000 feet. Oh, and my glutes today, I am not alpine race fit. But I was also thinking, I've digressed to about myself again, but it's been a long time I've been able to talk about myself. But I was thinking these steep climbs that I can do. It's very good training because my Euro hiking is not fast.
Yeah.
Hiking uphill is not my speciality, and I do anything to not hike uphill. I would prefer to run uphill. So at least now I can practice that. Anyway, we've digressed. The Buttermere Selbeck is a classic rough, tough fellry, packing over 4,000 feet of climbing, not for the faint-hearted. And it's part of the Kong Summer Series. Entries still open, do you know, Gary? You always know that.
I think they are, yeah. But when this goes out, if it's this weekend, then they might be sold out. But yeah, last time I checked, I'll just double check again. It says enter online. So apparently you can still enter.
We've also got the opening Centurion 100-mile race, the Thames Path 100. I think it's it's definitely is their flattest ultra running from London to Oxford along the Thames Path. People always go out way too fast because it's so flat. They go through the first marathon. There's tons of them in under 4 hours, which would give them a 16-hour 100-mile, and then there's a lot of walking. So top tip, here we are. From a Centurion coach is pace yourself, put in walking breaks early, eat, drink well. It's often quite hot in the first marathon too, because it's in London.
Yeah.
So the buildings make it that bit hotter. Pace yourself, get to Henley feeling fresh, enjoy the second half of the race, enjoy the Thames Path. Personally, too flat a race for me, Gary. A flat 100-miler, not sure.
I've never done one. I'd like to do one. My memories of Henley are just being drunk at the regatta one year and very drunk around wealthy people.
I'm pretty sure the Henley Regatta is around this time, or has it happened? I think it might have happened. They don't pass each other, sadly. Anyway, good luck to anybody doing either of those races.
And one which won't be hot is the Chalkland Way Ultra. This is in November. I thought I'd pop this in because you definitely have got time to enter this one. And it's 42 miles, 3,900 feet. It's 4 checkpoints, 14-hour cut off. So yeah, if you're looking for a winter race, I think that, and you're thinking about dipping your toes into the ultra, this
nice bit of mileage, a little bit of climbing, not too much climbing.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Oh, well, I don't exactly know where it is, but the ultratrails.co.uk are based in the East Riding of Yorkshire area. So it's going to be somewhere around there.
Competition. We've loved the latest competition. So many entries. So we set you the task, dear podcast listeners, of posting a picture over the bank holiday weekend of you running with mates. Beautiful running scene. We sort of put in that if you added some Chia Charge bars, you'd get an extra little kudos. So many entries. Love it. Go and take a look on our Facebook page. It's beautiful group runs. There's sunsets. There's mid-backyard ultra races. There's even a guy shampooing his hair in the waterfall. There's something for everybody, and tons of dogs and a llama. So many entries. We've both chosen.
I saw 2 llamas at the weekend.
They're quite vicious llamas, aren't they?
These weren't. They were very placid. Wow. Being walked around just like a cat belt. Yeah, straight up. I couldn't believe
it. Who's your winner, Gary?
Mine is Angela Green. I went a bit off script, you know. I didn't go for the Chia Charge influence. It was the dogs. And she was out doing a recce of the leg 1, Kong Lakes Ultra. It looked awesome up there, the pictures. So, yeah, Angela, you got my vote.
Dogs with big flappy ears. You can't resist. Can't resist. I chose my winner was Jay Butterfield. Go and check out his picture. He writes, I was lucky enough to spot a very shy, greater salted chia in its natural environment whilst out around the Wainstone. It didn't stay around for long, but I was quick enough to take this picture before it scampered off back to death. I presume he meant into his stomach.
Into his stomach, yeah.
It's nothing like a salted caramel bar on the top of a mountain. Well done, you two. Get in touch. We will get Tim to send you some Chia Charge goodies. You may even be a recipient of some peanut butter and jelly, the new Chia Charge flavour.
Do you have that on your peanut butter sandwiches? Would you go jam?
Oh, yeah, every morning. That's what I have on my toast.
It's not something kind of...
Judgy there, Gary, weren't you?
No, I just, it probably is lovely, but it's not something I'd kind of naturally gravitate to.
Of course, it down you.
We've got some more reviews, Eddie.
Of course.
I thought this one was great because all the way over in Saudi Arabia, we have got what a reach. This is fantastic. But yeah,
I knew it was international. I
wonder if this stats actually, you can see where people are listening to the podcast.
When I was a blogger and I used to write a blog and I could see the readership around the world, I used to have quite a few Russian readers.
Yes. What is it with Russians?
Maybe not now, but that always made me laugh. Okay, what do they say? Nothing nasty. I'm a bit weak and emotional.
No, it's nothing too deep. So you found the podcast, and what an excellent show with very funny content that relates so well to the trail and ultra running community. Keeps me connected to the UK and the hills and helps so much in planning my next challenge. Keep up the great work, guys. Cheers from the sandpit, Jay. Oh, thanks, Jay.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for the review. Keep them coming in. You never know, you might get a shout out on the podcast. Dreams really do come true. Right. What you got coming up, Gary? Fill my bucket with your running.
What have I got coming up? Well, well, Lisa's away this weekend to the lakes. How dare she?
She's allowed to leave the house.
Yeah, she's off with her friends to do the espresso round. I think after I did it with Aaron, and she was like, I fancy a bit of that. So her and some mates are going over there to do that. So I'll be home alone. But what I do want to do, when I've been doing my little filming videos, I really need an assistant. And I'm trying to persuade my son, George, to be my camera assistant out on the trails. So we'll see how that goes. Running wise, 2 big sessions. I think because I had such a big week last weekend, 2 big days on the trails, maybe not such a big run this weekend. I think the miles will still be there, but just not the elevation. So that'd be fine. But yeah, if I could get George to come out with me, and just it'd be such a massive help. And also it'd be some wonderful time together, which we don't, because I am mindful. I am so lucky that I just get to wave goodbye to people on a Friday or a Friday night or Saturday morning and come home, and all this other stuff. So at least has kept the fort together. So, but yeah, if I could share some of that time with George, I think that would be awesome. Training, probably 1 session on the bike. Other than that, I think that is me done. What about yourself?
Have you seen the new format of Zwift? Have you been on your bike since they changed all the...
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, it's going to blow your mind.
I did 3 things. I didn't do the long run. I can't remember the last time I was on Zwift, but probably mid last week. I haven't been on it since. Has it changed?
I'm going to update it, and it's completely different. I mean...
Oh, it's going to break my little iPad that it doesn't like. It's quite an old iPad.
Yeah, my old computer, when it would be an update, it'd be like 40 minutes. And I'd be like, no, that's my bike session.
Yeah.
You cannot take that. So yeah, well, do it now, and then it'll be ready when you next. Anyway, they've changed that. It is slightly easier to use. It's the same format of when you're actually on the bike, the watts page, but it's just how you get there is a little bit different. I've started the Grand, what's it called? The Grand Fodorno.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I think I'm on week 2, week 3. Yeah, they've got some good. I like the sessions because they're not
50 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, they're about 50 minutes, and they're like not too hard. They're quite. But
I thought they were quite hard.
I don't think, to be honest, I don't think my FTP is quite as high as it could be. They
the system.
Yeah, they flash up like this should, you should be really hurting, and I'm like, yeah, not really hurting.
Well, I've noticed this on some of mine. Sometimes it says that, and I think I'm not hurting that much, but then at the end, I really am hurting. So.
That's it as well. I'm scared to put it up because I'm like, the last 2 do pinch a bit. So if I don't want to start there, and also I'm a little bit mindful that I don't want to blitz let's just stay slightly in control. So so I've got a few. I've just did one this morning, 10 by 3 minutes, which wasn't, again, I was like, I could possibly go a little bit harder on these, but then again, I think you have to kind of let's cool it. Let's just build up, Eddie. Calm the jets. I'm going to do a couple more of those sessions. I'm going to do, trying to keep my Friday free so I can get another long hike in with some mates. I think it's important when you're injured to feed your soul a bit with like stuff I set up a new WhatsApp group added my mates going, who wants to come hiking with me? No, this isn't like will you? This is when we're going. Yeah. Come on, I need you now. I think it's really important to do stuff like that, because otherwise as well, you can be quite lonely because nobody wants to run with someone whining or hobbling. And then, the only time I really see my running mates is running.
I'm quite anxious at the moment, although my knee is okay. It still is quite hot and cold, and I don't want to set up something with people and then my knee just doesn't want to play that day.
I don't care. I just would tell them, come on, go and meet me. And if it doesn't, we go my pay. Yesterday I met a mate for hiking, and I was just like, because as well, when you're running with your good friends, it's probably like when you're running with Justin, that you can be like, no, that's, we need to slow down. There's no like ego. There's like,
no.
And there was a bit where we crossed the snow, and I had to really bend the leg to get off the little step down, and I couldn't bend the Achilles to put the weight through it. And so I had to like hold my mate to get down. So there's little bits like that when you're like, I just need a little bit of help here. But so I'm going to do hopefully a bit more hiking, as long as, so I did a big hike yesterday and it hasn't reacted today. So I take that as a good sign that it was happy with that. I hopefully fit in another on that. Lots more biking, lots more. I mean, my calves are pretty big anyway. They're going to be the size of
inch.
There's no
put
more
a tape measure on them. See what they are.
No more skinny jeans, Freddie. But soon it'll be short season, so the overextended car. We don't have a swimming pool, that's all shut. So we're in a period here in Morsey, in the interseason it's called, in May, where the ski lifts are all shut, apart from if your kids are still skiing. And my poor oldest kid is still going to be bussed up to the top of the mountain to go skiing. He's a little bit over it, but he's still doing that. But they close everything. So everything is shut. There's literally nobody here. When we first moved here in May, this time 7-8 years ago, we were like, oh my God. Like even Carrefour is only open for like 2 hours a day. There's nothing. There's nobody. It's like totally. Whereas now when we're here, I really like it because there's nobody here. So everything is shut, and it's only for a month. So I'm going to enjoy the peace and quiet. It's so nice. Like the school run, it's just quiet. There's no tourists, does that sound a bit it's just quiet. I'm just going to appreciate
it's
that.
It's nice when you've got it back, isn't it? It's
but there's no swimming. They don't open swimming pool, so that's a bit sad because swimming and aqua jogging would be good, but that's only for May. So I will carry on. Hopefully next week when I speak to you, you hold me to what does it, Gary? Hold me to account.
Yeah.
That things will all be moving the right, to trying to keep clinging on to positivity every day. And let's see what next week holds.
I've got an apology to make, actually.
You've cheated me.
I told a lie to somebody on cat bills. And I'm being racked with guilt afterwards.
Come on, splurge. It's a good place to splurge. We're all your friends.
Well, I had my camera with me when I was filming with Neil on Sunday. And I had this enormous selfie stick. It's like 3 meters long. It is massive.
Your selfie stick is enormous, Gary. Yeah. I've never seen one that big.
It's huge. And I got quite a lot of people asking me, what is that? What are you doing? And they're really curious. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just filming, but it's a selfie stick. And then this bunch of people on Cat Bells asked me what I was doing. And I don't know why, but I just said, I'm filming for Country File. And then just joked off.
And then did you just jog on?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, keep watching. You might.
Oh, Gary, I'd never have you down as that.
Oh, yeah,
did you feel chuckle all the way home? Going,
well, I chuckled for a little bit, and I just thought, oh, I hadn't said that. I felt a bit bad about it afterwards.
That's hilarious.
And they were like, oh, really? They were quite enthusiastic that they might be on Country Files. I think that's probably why I felt a bit bad about it.
Send us a picture of your selfie stick. Is it one that when you then...
It's an invisible selfie stick. I can't take a picture. Yes,
it's the invisible one, so you can't...
But it was the talking point of quite a few people that we passed, because I'd be there, just this guy with this enormous 3 meter long selfie stick. My arm was killing me at the end of the day. No wonder.
Oh, woe is you, for goodness sake.
So apologies. Yeah, if you open Cat Bells and some plonker with a massive selfie stick, don't have to keep watching Country File. It's not going to happen.
You never know. They could see this incredible footage and sign you up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I do love a bit of Country File. I have 2 Country File calendars in my house because I love it so much. Everyone buys me one every Christmas.
I love it. The kids grown. If I see Country File on the planner, it's like, yes, I like that.
Country File and then Antiques Roadshow. Does life get any better than that? I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know about Antiques Roadshow. I am.
I love it when they have the things out that they're like, what is this used for? And then you have the like, Bryn always gets smug with anything military. Is like, oh yes, I knew that was that.
My favorite program is Inside the Factory. I would love. Oh, they go into like what a topic for the podcast this is, but they go into it could be like, say, a Tunnocks biscuit factory, and they go in and they show you how to make. That would be my dream day. Oh, I love it.
My dream day would be a visit to the Tunnocks factory. Let's sort it for you, Gary. I'm sure we can do.
Well, I've got a thank you, actually. A friend bought me a packet of Tunnocks biscuits. Peter Hatch, thank you very much, Peter. He's listening to the podcast. I had a lovely surprise when I came home one Sunday to a little packet of Tunnocks biscuits. So, yeah.
Talking of surprises, hold the phone. Oh my God, my calves. You can keep in the podcast. Oh my God, look what arrived.
Eventually.
Eventually. Oh my God, because we're so chuffed. So if you're listening on the podcast, Gary has made, I think, I want to say me, but the family, a medal holder. It's a beautiful blue colour, which matches my new kitchen. I think he did that on purpose.
Oh, it's high risk it was. I tell you, I was like...
It's a lovely glossy finish. It says Team Sutton, and it's got quite a few medal hanging vessels. You're pretty... Bryn was laughing, going, "God, he's got high expectations of you for all those hooks." And then it's got Run to the Hills with the Run to the Hills logo. It's an excellent size. Love it. And we've already decided where it's going to go. We're having our kitchen painted next week. So it's going to be up in the kitchen, and we're not going to hang any old medals on it. It's going to be medals for future medals. The kids love it. Oh my gosh.
I'm so pleased. It's brilliant.
Thank you so much. What a lovely thoughtful gift. So if you're
It's travelled quite well.
It's travelled, but how well has it travelled? It still looks absolutely brand new. And then we had to bring it back to France, and with all the hooks and stuff, and we didn't take bags. I was like, am I going to get this through? Anyway, they never said anything.
Oh, I'm pleased you like it. Thanks for
when I get it up, and hopefully there might be, Mum will be allowed one medal hanger.
Yeah.
Off it. If you're looking for a little gift, this is hashtag not an ad. What a beautiful thing. I love a personalised present. Thank you. Right, we've digressed. Woof.
Thanks to Chia Charge for continuing to support the show, sending bars to guests, competition winners, keeping Eddie and I fueled in our adventures, and generally being an all-round super supporter to everyone out on the trails. That was episode 88. My name's Gary Thwaites.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And let's run to the hills.